most beautiful thing about the NFL draft is that's not the only time you can get excited about possible rookie players coming into town and becoming Cincinnati Bengals. So today we have a list of the initial unrestricted free agents for the Cincinnati Bengals. Obviously, this will change over time, but these are the first players that have been linked to the Cincinnati Bengals for the unrestricted free agent process. Keep in mind, also after June 1st, there will be a lot of veterans that get cut. A lot of players get cut in general, so we'll see some even more names in free agency that Cincinnati could possibly pick up. But let's talk about these names right here. So starting off right away, yes, we got the linebacker, Jalen Moody, which of course he played for Alabama. He's 6'2", 225. He's played a total of 5 seasons for Alabama, which actually, as I look more into this, is actually not that crazy. A lot of people are like, oh, they play for college for how many years? They're 24, 25 years old. This guy is not 24, 25 years old, but keep in mind, there was a COVID year. So a lot of, things got messed up, and some players actually, stayed an extra year in college because of COVID. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, though, his whole entire college career, he was pretty decent. Didn't really play too much. Had 4 games, 6 games, 6 games, 6 games. But when he finally got the opportunity, got the chance, he did play 10 games his second senior year. Had 24 solo tackles, 26 assists, 50 total, and 2 sacks. So not bad really at all. Also 1 forced fumble, and that was pretty much his college career. So nothing too crazy special. Again, he is an unrestricted free agent for a reason. You bring him in, see how good he plays. If he works out, he works out. If he doesn't, you know what? You cut him. The second guy on this list here is Calvin Taylor Jr. He came from Oregon State, and he also went to Utah, so transferred to Utah. 5'8", 210 pounds. Looking at him, and I'm going to have to go ahead and... Actually, no. I think we can see most of the stats here. So, rushing-wise, his last 2 years at Utah, reason why he transferred, definitely a lot better. His first 3 years at Oregon State, he was a backup. Didn't really start any games. Played only 4 games, 2 games, 3 games. And then finally at Utah, once he transferred, he played 12 games and then 13 games. And that's where he really took off. 884 yards here, 7 touchdowns, his 2021 campaign. And in 2022, he had 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. So definitely a lot better than his first 3 seasons. He also did have a total of 26 receptions. And it looks like for 210 yards and a touchdown in his 2 years at Utah State. So that's actually, again, another really productive, time. Overall wise, if you want to count his receiving and his passing together, in 2021 he had 934 yards total, passing, receiving, 7 touchdowns, and in 2022 he had 1,251 yards and 8 touchdowns. So, could be a guy you bring in, see how he fits in the rotation, maybe become a special teams guy, maybe he becomes your new halfback. As in, he is a bell cow back. He would have to replace Joe Mixon. He's not going to replace Joe Mixon. Next guy on this list, offensive lineman Jackson Kirkland. Offensive lineman from Washington here. Looks like a pretty decent player. Played all 4 years at Washington. First 2 seasons, started one game. His junior season, nothing. His senior season, started 10 games here. It's really hard usually to judge offensive linemen unless you really know the guy and know how they play. Because stats would never tell you anything about offensive linemen. I mean, at the end of the day, usually the only stats that matter with offensive linemen is how much they played. He hasn't played much. He really hasn't. So this is one of those things where you bring him in, maybe you see how he looks, maybe like something about him, and that, ends up making you go after him. He is 6'7", so he's a big guy. I mean, this is not a small dude. 310 pounds, 6'7". This is an absolute monster dude. So maybe bring him in just for size, see if he pans out in the NFL in any way. Next guy we have here is safety Larry Brooks. 6 foot tall, 200 pound from Tulane. Unlike the other guys we talked about, this guy has been a starter for many seasons. His freshman season had only started 2 games, but he still had 2 tackle for loss, which is actually really decent for when you're playing 2 games. Second season, 10 games. Third season, 11. Fourth season, 10. And then fifth season, he played a whole entire season, which is, again, like I said, not bad at all. His second season had 4 interceptions. His third season, he had 3 interceptions. And his final season, he had 2 interceptions. He also did complement that with 4 total sacks in his career at Tulane. So 9 interceptions, 4 sacks in his 5 years. It looks like 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries. Not bad. I mean, all around a decent safety. Like, again, like I said, you know, how he translates to the NFL, we'll have to wait and see how he does that. But not a bad option, especially as an unrestricted free agent here. Our next guy is Shaka Haywood, Duke's linebacker, 6'4", 220 pounds. Okay, this guy's getting after the quarterback. He, again, like the last guy, played all 4 years, pretty much played full-time, except, again, football season in college. I think there were 15 games total. So, not every single game, but still a lot of most of the seasons he played. 3.5 sacks, so 11.5 sacks in his 4 years at Duke. He did have 4 interceptions. Okay, that's actually pretty good for a linebacker. 0 forced fumbles, but 5 fumble recoveries. And he looked like a pretty all-around solid tackling middle linebacker. So, not bad. Looks like a pretty good coverage guy, too, 4 interceptions. So, not upset about this at all if they end up going ahead and going with him. Again, rotational purposes, if anything, for any of these guys. None of these guys are probably going to come in and become a starter. Maybe one day, but not right now. So, rotation purposes for all these guys, but another solid player right here. And the last player here, he's interesting because I could not use this website to find the last player. He is not on this website. And his name is Jalen Sanders III. He is not on many websites out there. There's not much talk about him, which is interesting because he actually had a pretty dang good college resume, which is something you don't usually see when, you know, a player isn't really out there that much. So he's played at Eastern Tennessee State. And here is his game log. So he played 11 games his freshman year, 11 games his second year, third year he had 5 games, then 13. You can see the games he did start. He did go ahead and have 615 yards his rookie season, 653, 257, and then 1,019, which is pretty dang good, too. Again, you expect him to be awful with the fact it was almost impossible to find his game tape. Or his actual stats, and we'll look at receiving in a second, by the way. He had 18 total touchdowns in his 4 years in college, a 2,544 rushing yards total. Now for his receiving tape, let's look at this. So he did, of course, have a total of 620 yards receiving on 70 receptions, and a total of 2 touchdowns in his time at Tennessee State. So pretty decent player, not bad. Kick return and punt return, he had a total of 0 touchdowns for kick return, and he had 0 touchdowns for punt return. Looks like he never punt returned the ball. For kick return, he was actually pretty decent, but he never had a chance to be a punt returner. So, if you're thinking about bringing him in to be like Trevion Williams, punt returner. Oh, Trevion's not a punt returner, he's a kick returner. But if you think about Trent Taylor, bring him in for that role, he's not going to be that kind of role. Let's see defense. Okay, he had some tackles on defense, but nothing too crazy. Guys, tell me down below your thoughts and opinions. Again, we're going to be updating this and talking about all the players as they are linked to the Cincinnati Bengals. I'll see you guys in the next one.